All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Well, good morning as the time that I am recording this video. So, these last like 2 days ish, um, this announcement was made publicly, and I remember like opening up like YouTube, opening up like the internet, and there were so many YouTube channels and so many like news articles that were discussing about this announcement and talking about it, discussing it, and giving their own opinions. These reporters and these editors and these critics and these YouTube channels, everyone's like chiming in and giving their own ideas, their own input, and their own, you know, everything. So I decided, you know what? I decided to join in. I decided to join in on this whole conversation because this is a very big deal. This is a very big deal. I believe a few or a couple months ago, Warner Brothers announced. I gotta go back and look at it again. But right now, I do remember a couple months ago. It feels like 3 to 5 months ago, Warner Brothers announced that they were going to split like their company, their studio or their company in like two different like sections or something like that. I gotta look it, like I said, I gotta look it up to know the specifics in detail. But, I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts and my opinions, and I want you guys to see, and I want you guys to see my face, because this is a potential big crisis. This is a bit this is a potential big crisis, or just something that we got to talk about. Um, so yeah, so right now I'm sitting and I'm staring at my computer right now. I took a lot of notes. I took a lot of notes from different news articles and slapped them here on Google Docs, bullet point by bullet point. So we are going to talk about this. So, yes, Netflix won the bidding war. It was breaking news like that. Netflix was, they won the bidding war, and they are acquiring the film and television studios and streaming services, streaming businesses, including HBO and HBO Max of Warner Brothers Discovery, WBD, in a landmark of $82.7 billion a deal. Oh yeah, yeah. By the way, I should mention, if you see me like staring at the computer, that's because I'm looking at my notes, and so just keep that in mind. So, what does this mean? So, this whole Warner Brothers Netflix deal, bidding deal that they won, what does it mean? This potential acquisition was announced. Actually, it was announced. Oh, okay. I thought it was like 2 days ago, but it was actually like last night. I guess it was just yesterday. That it would be, this potential. It was announced on December 5th. All right, so yesterday, that would be one of the largest media mergers in history. This potential acquisition, merging Netflix and Warner Brothers together, would be one, not the largest, but one of the largest media mergers in history. Like, I thought it was like Disney. At first I thought like a couple years ago, I thought Disney was going to become like a monopoly. Can you imagine Disney buying like Warner Brothers or something? Warner Brothers, they would have owned DC and Marvel. That would become a huge monopoly. But anyway, yes. But anyway, yes. I thought Disney was going to become like the largest, like, I don't know, company, like media entertainment company, but no, it's like it would be, this whole Netflix and Warner Brothers thing is one of the greatest media mergers in history and is expected to have a significant implications, multiple implications for the entertainment industry as a whole. So let me break this down to you. So, okay, so you're probably wondering what's the big deal, Max? What's the big deal, Max, Lorraine, with this whole deal? Can you like explain it or something? So I got it right here. So here's what this means. So here are some key details that you and that we all have to take away. Some key details from this whole deal between this done deal that's between Warner Brothers and Netflix. So acquisition of core assets. Netflix themselves will take control of the Warner Brothers film and TV studios, HBO, and the HBO Max streaming services, which means they will have complete control over HBO and the HBO Max streaming services. Um, I will give, by the way, side note, I will be giving you guys my personal opinion and thoughts at the end of this whole, at the end of the video, when, before we conclude. But yeah, so Netflix will have complete control of Warner Brothers film and TV studios, HBO and the HBO Max streaming services. Next bullet point, excluded assets. Warner's they will have Warner's cable networks such as CNN, TNT, and HGTV are not included in this cell. So yeah, are not included in this cell. So they are out of CNN, TNT, and HGTV are not included in this cell. They will be spun off into a separate new publicly traded company called Discovery Global instead. So those three will be those three, CNN, TNT, and HGTV, which I don't like. I know HGTV. Everyone knows CNN. Fucking everyone knows CNN. There's CNN, HGTV. Isn't HGTV like a home like reality TV show? I don't know. And then TNT. I don't know anything about TNT. Except I saw the logo. I don't know anything about TNT, but like those three will be traded off to it will be in a completely new company called Discovery Global instead. So they are safe from Netflix's control. But anyway, this whole deal, Netflix, this whole deal with Netflix, the deal would bring an extensive library of iconic franchises and titles under the Netflix umbrella, including the DC Universe, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, and Friends. I mean, Netflix has always been like the number one streaming service, like history. Like before, like they have been around for like decades. It feels like decades. I don't know the year Netflix was created or, launched or debut launched or something. I don't know the specifics behind Netflix, but I do know like back then, the whole Blockbuster and rental DVD services back in the day. Um, Kind of like Blockbuster and Redbox. Um, but now, like Netflix has always been, I've always been a big fan of Netflix, even though most of their stuff aren't really golden. Like I said, HBO Max, like the shit that's on HBO Max, the content that's on HBO Max is like golden, like Emmy nominated, like Oscar nominated material. On HBO Max, they have some great shit. On HBO Max, the streaming service, the streaming service. But now that Netflix is going to be like obtaining all this, this is going to be huge. Like that means like in the future. Okay, but anyway, I was about to say something, but I'm like, I'll save that until the end of the video. So anyway, theatrical releases. So what about movie theaters and theatrical releases? Well, Netflix themselves has stated this, have stated its intention to maintain Warner Brothers' current operations, including the continued production and theatrical release of its film, a major shift for the streaming first company. Yeah, I believe like I think Netflix was always been the first streaming services in history. Let me look this up. I'm on my computer. Let me ask Google, what was the first, it's gotta be, first shit, streaming shit. It's gotta be Netflix, right? Oh no, the first streaming services was Real Player, launched back in 1995. Um, okay, okay, so it was Netflix. So technically it's Real Player, but no one knows who that is. But I think Netflix. So yeah, ITV. Netflix wasn't the first online streaming service. Netflix. Okay, technically, Netflix wasn't the first online streaming video service. That honor goes to ITV. Don't know anything about that. An impossibly ambitious project out of Hong Kong in the late 90s. Netflix would, however, become the first the first successful streaming service. So Netflix came first, and then Hulu back in 2007, and then Hulu was launched into public 2008, a year after Netflix's streaming debut. Okay, and then Netflix came out with the DVD by mail rental service. I did remember the rental services that they had back then. But yeah, so there's that. So there's that. So Netflix has stated its intention to maintain Warner Brothers' current operations, including the current continued production and the theatrical release of its film, a major shift for the streaming first company. So it sounds like okay. So from that bullet point, it sounds like Netflix does to maintain Warner Brothers. They want to they want to continue producing and releasing. I mean, I think it sounds like Netflix wants to intends to continue producing and releasing Warner Brother movies in theaters. I'm not so sure, but I'm not so sure. I'm a little bit iffy on that one, because it's Netflix. It's Netflix for crying out loud. Movie theaters, it's probably like Warner Brothers, IPs and franchises probably are going to be released in theaters for a limited release, like for 1 week, and then it's going to be slapped, and then like a week or a month later, it's going to be slapped onto, it's going to be streaming directly onto Netflix. But anyway, moving on, the transaction has been unanimously, oh, excuse me, unanimously, I can't read, unanimously approved by both company. The transaction has been unanimously approved by both companies, so both Netflix and Warner Brothers have both unanimously approved and agreed, the company's boards, but is subject to regulatory and shareholder approvals. So now, um, they get a say in this. It is expected that this deal is expected to close in 12 to 18 months, likely by the third quarter of next year of 2026. So this whole deal is going to be 100% fully locked and like signed and everything ready to go, um, by the third quarter of 2026. So what are the implications? So those are the key details. Now, what are the implications? Okay, so diving into the implications. Industry consolidation. This is what the industries have to consolidate when this comes out. So the move would create an entertainment behemoth, combining the world's largest streamer Netflix, with one of Hollywood's oldest studios, Warner Brothers, likely forcing smaller competitors to consolidate further to compete, like Paramount. Like Paramount or Universal, A24, like whatever, or Sony. Um, but yeah. So what does this mean for the for the consumer impact for the consumers? While Netflix's co-CEO suggests it will provide more choice for consumers, industry analysis and critics have raised concerns that the reduction in competition could lead to higher prices for subscribers. So yeah, that was what I was afraid of. So because Netflix is going to be owning Warner Brothers, they're going to have a huge, ginormous library. Like they've gotten so much. They've already gotten so much, and now they're going to get more. And then Netflix is going to be like the next. First we were all skeptimistic. Well, first we were all skeptical of Disney. Now it's moving on to Netflix. Because now Netflix has already owned so much. Now their library is going to be even. Now they're going to have even more in their library. Um, I mean, like that's what I was thinking. Like because they're going to have so much content in their library. I have a feeling that the CEOs of Netflix themselves, they are going to raise the prices like for the 100th millionth time. Because they have so much, because they own so much, and because everyone wants to subscribe to them, and because they own all this stuff, because they're gonna be owning all this shit and all this content, they're gonna probably raise the prices to like Jesus Christ. I can't even imagine how much like on a monthly or annually. Like it's gonna be it might, I'm not 100%, but it could potentially impact the higher prices for us, the consumers slash the subscribers. So just keep that in mind. That it's not 100%. It's just a potential increase of prices. Netflix could raise the prices for their streaming services if this deal is by the end, by the third quarter of 2026, like it said. Regulatory scrutiny. The deal is expected to face intense antitrust scrutiny. I mean, of course. I mean, of course. Of course. There's always going to be consequences and cons to this deal. The deal is expected to face intense antitrust scrutiny from U.S. and international regulators due to concerns about market concentration. The Writers Guild of America, the WGA, has already stated the merger must be blocked. So the Writers Guild of America, the WGA, who and we all know the WGA and the SAG-AFTRA, like the 2023, like the writers strike back in 2023. They are not, they don't, they have trust issues. So they have trust issues, as expected, and is totally understandable. It's completely understandable that they don't agree with this whole merger, and they stated that they want that this whole deal has to be blocked. So what does the future of cinema? So after this whole deal is locked and loaded, what is the future? Like 2026, like the third quarter of 2026 onwards. What does this mean? What does this mean? Like 2027, 28, 9, 30 in the future. What does this mean? Well, this is what it could mean or potentially mean the future of cinema. The deal has sparked debate within the film industry about the future of theatrical releases, with some fearing Netflix's ownership could ultimately harm movie theaters despite promises to maintain the current release schedule. I love Netflix. I love Netflix. I love HBO Max. I love HBO Max, but this is Netflix we're talking about. There's pros and there's going to be cons. There's going to be pros, but there's also going to be cons with this, with Netflix's ownership. They say we're promising to producing and releasing Warner Brothers movies and movies to theaters, but I'm like, I don't trust you guys. I don't trust you guys because it's you we're talking about. Like, this is Netflix we're talking about. Like, they're probably gonna, like, just like the new Glass Onion, like, I don't even know, Wake the Dead Man, like the new Glass Onion movie the Ryan Johnson movie that just came out, which has gotten great reviews, and it's on my list. I will get to that review later. Um, but anyway, that movie was in theaters for a limited release window, and now it's gonna be like for like 1 week, and like it's gonna be going straight to like Netflix, like the first or the second week of December, the first or second week of December. So yeah, like, I yeah, that's even though Netflix promises that Warner Brothers movies will be released in theaters, I don't trust them 100%. So that's pretty much the whole deal. That's pretty much the whole, the deal. Now, so there are some goods and there are some positives there are some good and there are some positive with this whole acquisition of Netflix and Warner Brothers. As a whole, like, the Netflix acquisition of Warner Brothers is a huge controversial deal. Like, that's one word. If I had to describe this this acquisition between Netflix and Warner Brothers, it would be controversial. It would definitely be controversial. It's a huge controversial deal. It's potentially good for Netflix subscribers, more content, which means, if Netflix subscribers, you congratulations. Like, you guys get to have Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, DC, all that stuff. And Netflix's market dominance. But potentially bad for Hollywood workers, creators, and moviegoers due to job losses. They're like these people who work in Hollywood, these Hollywood workers, they're going to be losing. They're going to be moviegoers. They're going to be losing jobs, and the reduced competition, fewer diverse stories, and a push towards you know streaming only, and facing intense antitrust scrutiny. Going back to that, despite Netflix's promising continued theatricals, I'm still not 100% locked and loaded. I'm still not. I still don't trust Netflix. They say that they promise that they're going to release the Warner Brother movies and in theaters and theatricals. I don't know. I don't trust them, because it's just like the recent Glass Onion movie. It's probably going to be for in theaters for 1 week, and then like it's going to be and it's going to be directly streaming onto Netflix like a week later. And I don't know about the box office. I mean, these movies aren't easy to make. Like, these people pouring so much effort, are pouring so much effort into making these, movies and televisions for consumers, for us. I don't know about the box. I can't imagine what the box office or the revenues could be like for these Warner Brothers for Warner Brothers, these IPs, these franchises going further. It, I don't know. Um, but yeah. So let's go into the potential benefits, the good. Let's talk about the benefits, of the good of this whole deal between Netflix and the acquisition with Warner Brothers. So more, like I said, more contact. So the good is that the good is that Netflix subscribers will have more content access to Warner's vast library, including the DC Universe, Harry Potter, HBO shows like Game of Thrones for Netflix subscribers, potentially offering more bang for their buck. Dominant global player create which is they creates a media giant with immense content power, potentially consolidating the streaming market, which is I don't like that. I mean if you're like if you worship Netflix as your lord and savior, I mean congratulations, I guess. I don't know, that sounds more like fucking dominance, like fucking dominance and fucking immense power. Dominance and immense power for Netflix going forward. Financial strength. Um, Netflix believes it's a smart move to gain scale, potentially stabilizing the industry. I 100% disagree, and this is just it's whole controversial. Just going back to that. But here are the bads. Here are the drawbacks to this whole deal. All right. Like I said, going back to it, and I'll keep going back to it. There's going to be a lot of antitrust concerns. Regulators and politicians fear. I can't believe it's going to go there. I can't believe politics are going to get involved. But yeah, regulators and politicians fear it creates a monopoly, leading to higher prices, fewer choices, and reduced innovation. Job losses. Another drawback is job losses and work exploitation. Hollywood unions fear streaming first models will cut jobs, lower wages, and worsen conditions for writers, actors, and crews. And also possibly the death of cinemas. I mean, there are a lot of people out there, including me, like who are really concerned that Netflix's streaming focus will further reduce the volume and importance of theatrical movie releases, despite promises to continue them. Netflix says that they will continue producing and releasing Warner Brothers movies in theaters. I don't trust them. Do you? Do you guys trust Netflix to continue producing and putting Warner Brothers WB movies in theaters? Because I don't. Like theatrical, probably for like 1 week. Yeah, they'll put it in theaters for like 1 week, and then like a week later, it's gonna be directly straight to like Netflix. I mean, like, what's the point? Like, the movie's not gonna get any money at the box office. What? I mean, I guess Netflix. I mean, Netflix will have complete control, so I guess they can like handpick. I mean, they can do whatever they want. They'll do what they can do whatever they want. They can handpick like, oh, this movie, I can definitely, we can definitely see this movie, or we could definitely see this movie, being a huge major uh blockbuster, and it's going to be epic. It's going to give us a lot of revenues, and it's going to give us a lot of profit, like Superman or Harry Potter, whatever, and just throw it in movie theaters. We're going to throw it in movie theaters. Um throw it in movie theaters for a full length, for a full like theatrical release window, instead of a limited release window, like a DC movie. Like a DC movie, maybe Netflix will think, oh, DC movies are, everyone loves DC. It's very promising and very profitable, so maybe they'll release DC movies for full release window. I don't know. And then the movie will have a lot of like will make a lot of money at the box office, that Netflix will gather and put in their pockets, that Netflix will collect and put in their wallets. I mean, like, this is Netflix. Like, they are really, people are concerned, including me, that Netflix they are just gonna go straight to like streaming, like straight to streaming. That's it. We're Netflix. We go straight to streaming. I don't want that. I mean, a couple movies, sure, in Warner Brothers category and library, sure, but like movies like Harry Potter, DC. What else do they own? Uh, the King Kong, the Monster Verse, like those movies have potential to be, have like are very profitable and very huge and ginormous blockbusters. Like you can't just put those big blockbusters on net and stream them on Netflix. Like I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned. Um, but anyway, there's and also the last drawback that I have is less creative diversity. Netflix is going to might potentially become a giant entity might favor cookie cutter content over risky, diverse stories, limiting artistic freedom. I mean, I mean, like sometimes, I mean, it's Netflix. Like there's a reason why HBO Max has a lot of great, like Oscar, like and Emmy nominated and winners television series and films. It's because they're great. It's because they're golden. They're platinum. Look at like the TV shows and the movies that Netflix has. Like it's not good. Like there are a lot of like Netflix original television series and films that um that we all saw, that we see, and that we all watched and were like, yeah, no wonder. Have you guys ever watched a movie or a television series on that's a Netflix original, and then when you're finished watching it, you're like, huh, no wonder this movie wasn't like what not television series. Let's exclude television. Have you guys ever watched a Netflix original movie and then after you're finished watching it, you're like, huh, you're like, wow, no wonder this movie was released on Netflix instead of like the movie theaters because this movie fucking sucks. So it's because it feels like it's a cookie cutter content instead of taking in those risky diverse stories like Warner Brothers has done. And because of that, Warner and like I said, Warner Brothers, HBO Max, they have a lot of risky and diverse they tell a lot of risky and diverse stories. Like the Game of Thrones and all that stuff. Game of Thrones, Succession, like all Succession, House of the Dragon, The Last of Us. Oh my god, I just can't imagine. But for now, the verdict for now, overall, I have mixed feelings. It's a very this will overall in conclusion, um, the verdict for now, it's a mixed bag. I feel more bitter than sweet. I feel a lot of bitter. I really don't trust Netflix. I really don't trust Netflix. This whole deal is very controversial and it's a mixed bag. And I have a lot of bitter, not anger, but just a lot of resentment. Is that the word? Resentment. A lot of bitterness boiling up inside me, thinking about the potential of like the future of Warner Brothers in the hands of Netflix, increasing, increasing, like the potential to increase the prices because they're going to have even more content added to their library, and then a lot of writers and actors and directors, everyone's like the WGA, the antitrust, and they're going to be losing so many people are going to be losing so much jobs. It's going to start feeling like like this dictator, like this tyrant of a company, of sort of like a monopoly. uh, I don't know. I really don't like it. I'm more bad. I'm more negative. I have negative feelings about about this whole deal than with positives. It's really heavily dependent on regulatory approval and future actions, with significant concerns about market power and job impacts outweighing initial subscriber benefits, making it a highly contentious. This whole thing feels like a nightmare. It's a contentious nightmare for some and a smart move for others. Some people, I mean, especially Netflix subscribers. I mean, if you're a Netflix, if you worship Netflix as your Lord and Savior, this is a good news for you. But someone like me who loves not just Netflix but everything, but every streaming service, um, it's a mixed bag for me. I have mixed feelings about this. Um, I mean, overall, I mean, all I can say is that it should have been universal. It should have been universal. Apparently, this morning, before I recorded this video, Paramount had their own thoughts about this whole deal. Paramount on Netflix WB deal. No, okay, maybe if I do it like this. Paramount was bested by Netflix on Friday in its effort to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, but it may still appeal directly to the WBD shareholders. Paramount took aim at rival Netflix's bid in a Monday ladder. Okay. Likely never close. Paramount insists WBD, Warner Brothers Discovery, would be dead on arrival as it presses its case. Paramount is plenty pleased about the way. This is from Deadline. This is from Deadline. Is peeved about the way Warner Brothers Discovery is conducting a possible sell, and it wants everyone to know it won't go quietly if either Netflix or Comcast are the. Okay. Well, that was December 4th, so it's already been dealed. So yeah, okay, it's already been done. Streaming services thoughts. Oh, thoughts. Netflix WB deal. The proposed Netflix acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery is causing major industry shockwaves, with competitors like Disney Plus and Paramount scrambling, creators fearing less diversity, pay, and consumers potentially facing higher prices for a massive content library, Harry Potter, DC, HBO, while some subscribers might save money by dropping Max. Yeah, just at this well, when that happens, yeah, definitely. Critics warn of dangerous media consolidation, antitrust, and reduce. Okay, so with the stuff that we've already talked about, um, Paramount, Universal. I don't give a shit about like any other streaming services. Paramount Plus and Universal, aka Universal thoughts on Netflix WB deal. What is Universal thoughts? I want to know, like Paramount has already given their thoughts and opinions about this whole Netflix WB deal. I want to know what Universal thoughts. The Universal thoughts on the massive Netflix Warner Brothers acquisition deal center on anticipation, antitrust worries, and massive industry disruption, with rivals like NBC, Universal, Comcast watching closely, concerned about a dominant Netflix controlling key IP like Harry Potter, DC, and threatening movie theaters, while also potentially forced to consolidate or innovate to compete, facing regulatory scrutiny over market dominance, but promising a better Netflix with huge content libraries. Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, this is just huge. This whole thing, like, it's gonna Netflix buying Warner Brothers. This is gonna create a huge. They're gonna be becoming like a huge media behemoth, like this whole monster, a giant monster, controlling nearly half the streaming market, and threatening. Exhibitors fear the deal. This could sideline cinemas, leading to fewer releases and shorter theatrical release windows, threatening their business models, IPs. Universal, in particular, is watching the Harry Potter franchise currently licensed to them as it moves under the Netflix's umbrella, creating potential competitions. Other players like Paramount, Disney, and Comcast, aka Universal, NBC Universal, must now strategize how to respond to a combined Netflix WBD entity with unparalleled content depth. Holy shit. Industry and creative impacts. Some fear a merged entity might reduce diversity in voices and content, pushing out fresh talent to create more one-size-fits-all content. Creative control questions. Filmmakers wonder if WBD's distinct creative environments like James Gunn's DC universe can survive under Netflix's tech-driven model, says YouTube and says oh wait, that's okay. That's from the source. It's from a YouTube question. Okay, it's from a YouTube video. Universal's position inferred. Netflix gaining WBD's IP significantly boosts its library and park potential, directly challenging Universal's established franchises like Wizarding World and future theme park plans, creating both risk and opportunity. Oh God. Yeah, like I was about to say, like, what does this mean for James Gunn's DC universe? Because James Gunn answers like he's under Warner Brothers, or I should say, uh, shit, or I should say, David Zaslav. So James Gunn is under David Zaslav, and after this whole Netflix deal, like, where's where's James Gunn's DC universe gonna go? I don't know. So yeah, overall, I have mixed feelings about this, guys. I feel extremely bitter at this announcement. I have mixed. This whole thing feels very mixed and controversial and just bitter. But anyway, what do you guys think about this whole? That's a full lengthy breakdown of this whole video. But what do you guys think about this? And because like this is huge. Like Netflix could be controlling the whole, a vast majority, or probably a vast majority of like HBO, DC, Looney Tunes, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Sopranos. I saw Sopranos somewhere. Um, and also the MonsterVerse, the Godzilla versus King Kong movies. Netflix is gonna have complete control over all that moving forward. And there's also that potential of increasing the prices for subscribers because they have such an expanded library. Their fucking dicks, they're gonna start waving their dicks around. Oh my god, they're gonna be waving their fucking dicks around because of that. Oh my god, I have a headache. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have to say. And let me know what you guys think about this. Because what are your thoughts and opinions and what you took away from this whole video? Because now that I said what I needed to say and I pitched my own opinion, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks.